This episode of Invent America Radio is brought to you by America's Inventor Lady and Home Talk USA. Home Talk is a proud member of the King Broadcasting Network and has been bringing you the best of America's home-based product innovation since 1998.
Broadcasting and streaming live all across America. This is Home Talk USA. Join us this hour for our segment Invent America with your co-host Rita Crompton. Discover what's next for new products and innovations. Or if you have that next great big idea, learn what it takes to bring your invention to the world. As Mike Rita Crompton talked to America's inventors and innovators. Remember, the America of tomorrow is being invented today.
Hello, America, and welcome to Invent America, because America invents.
Yeah, hey, welcome all of you to the King's Broadcasting Network. This is the Invent America show with me, the Cajun contractor Michael King, and the inventor lady herself, Miss Rita Crompton, straight back from the trade show down in the ASD Market Week, and she's excited. She's going to have all sorts of great information. Now I'd like to welcome to the show my sidekick, my partner, herself, the inventor lady, Miss Rita Crompton. Rita, welcome back.
Well, thank you so much. It's nice to be back. And we certainly did appreciate, having that plane land and getting ourselves home about 3 a.m. But, we made it.
Well, Rita, a lot of things have changed from year to year. We've been doing this a long time, the trade shows, and it seems like every year there is a new ambiance that's popping up, or where you have to update yourself in what's going on in the industry. And with that being said, Rita, I want to jump right into this because we got a great show. But how can you, or why can you make improvements after the show? How do we make improvements to make this show better, make our audience be more aware of what we're trying to accomplish here, and obviously the inventors that would like to have that feedback to make their products and technology better?
Well, it's really wonderful because, a lot of the inventors that go with us to the show, they're already in the marketplace. They've got product with them and they sell out. I mean, everybody who had product sold out. And then there's a bunch of inventors that are in a completely different category, is that they're learning. So they've got prototypes and they want to be able to get feedback on price points and how it works. And they want to be able to say, okay, there was, some suggestions. And I think that that's one of the greatest values of actually going face to face with folks and being able to ask them, so tell me what you think. Give me your ideas on this. And they're able to say, oh, well, maybe it should hook this way. And did you think about having it do this? And maybe, this would be a good idea. And holy cow, it's like the light bulbs start going off and they're able to say, okay, I really need to redo some of this. And they'll go back now to their engineer and say, can we do it this way?
Well, here's the problem I'm having with some young inventors. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. Okay, I'm the inventor. I invented the product. This is my baby. This is my child. It's like I did the brainstorming. I'm the one that put the product together. But yet I see them at the trade shows not willing to compromise or take some feedback, because you'd be shocked how many times a person will walk into the booth, you are talking about your technology, and you don't know anything about that potential customer of his background. He might be an aerospace engineer, just happened to be walking the aisles, and here's a guy offering you a little advice. And yet, how many times you see, oh, let's just brush this guy off. I hope he leaves the booth. Man, take all this into now. A lot of the times, it could be BS. Oh my God! But have an open mind to listen to what they're saying, because I guarantee you, I've seen it. You've been in my booth. I've had my radio show in your booth. We've interviewed people, and I shake my head, and I know you shake your head sometimes. Why didn't that person just listen to him? Because this actually made sense.
I know, right? Absolutely. I mean, normally we coach the inventors going with us. And so they're not there all alone. And we, when they're in those early stages, ask for feedback. How would you make it better? Would you carry this in your store? What price points are you looking at? And so the inventors now, because they're in that very precious time frame of being able to make improvements to their intellectual property, and they don't have 5,000 of them sitting in a warehouse that are wrong, they're able to say, okay, let's take this advice. And so when we're coaching inventors, it really depends on what stage they're in and what can they do that makes sense money wise. And I've learned, I've been there. We did have one gentleman that was kind of in that same space that you're talking about. Oh my goodness. Every one of the people there who was working the show for us, they came back with the same, the price point's too high. It's like, why is it this color? It's not going to fit into the tool belt. It's like, holy cow. And those were all things that I had said before the show even started. Yep. And so now it's like, I've got to go back and relay this to the inventor. It's like, okay, you need to pay attention. Nobody is going to pay that.
I had a guy worked in one of your shows, and I never forget this. I don't even know who he is. It's been so long ago. And it kind of stuck with me when he basically said, I asked him, is this your finished product? And he would tell me, no, I have the finished product already done, but it's not here at the show. What I've done was, this is my third prototype, but I've already got the finished product. But what I'm doing, I'm showing the prototype, taking the advice on how I can make this better, knowing that I've already got it, but maybe this customer or potential person is telling me how to make it better. Do you understand what I'm getting at here? Because you don't know I have a finished product. I'm just showing you I'm working on it now. Because hey, it's free. And who knows? You might have did it one way, and the guy's telling you, well, this is how you need to do it. I would do it this way. And boy, he just gave you a serious that you didn't have to pay for. You didn't have to pay for this.
That's right. That's right. I mean,
I never forget that.
I know there's been times when, I'm talking to an inventor. It's like, did you think about doing it for this industry? And it's like, holy cow. We had one of the ladies there last year, and she just had not even connected that. It's like, what about in physical therapy? And it was like light bulbs started going off. And then there was, stores that they didn't want a case. They wanted a pallet of these things. So she went back and she, updated her intellectual property a little bit, and she was off to the races. And it was so cool to watch the process and, have her take that feedback. Like you said, it was free. It was free. And all they had to do was go back and, redo a few things. And then they had a whole new market for their products. So very cool.
How are you improving yourself, though? I'm going to pick at you personally. How are you improving yourself each year at these shows to make yourself better?
Getting
older. Are you going to reveal your
is that an improvement? Maybe getting older.
Maybe wiser.
Older and wiser. Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we've done is that, we always look at improving our spot, our location, and then our relationship with the show folks. Those ASD people are wonderful to work with. And so when we use them to our advantage and they use us to their advantage, because we are the only innovative section there. And so they're sending people to us, and we are using their resources then because they offer them. It's like, why would we say no to that? So I think that those are the big things, is that, we are always looking at improving our space. We're looking at improving our relationship with them, and being able to take advantage of that new improved relationship, because it improves all of the experiences for our inventors.
Well, the show's social media pages now, how they market us different now. They're getting more involved, other than the sales department, just, writing the contract up, taking deposit, they really don't get involved. But now I see them more and more getting involved with the sponsors, the trade exhibitors themselves. Does that make sense, Rita? You see it more and more now.
Yeah, when they use our products to bring in buyers, that's good for our inventors. Yeah. And then it makes them good because, like Stephanie, our contact, always says, she says, they don't need to know what the old products are. They already know because they're buying them if they want them. They want to see what's new, what's coming, what are their consumers going to want? So being able to use that relationship then so that it is symbiotic is a big deal for us.
Well, Rita, a lot going on. I know we have a great show lined up. We're going to have to take a short break. Got to pay some bills. We're going to come back right here on the Invent America show with the America's inventor lady herself, Miss Rita Crompton, with the Cajun contractor, Mike King, the originator, not the duplicator. Please don't accept no substitutions. Rita, did you know I was green before green was even cool? Did you know that?
I did.
Yeah, that's all I say. We're going to be right back. Stay tuned.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for being with us for this segment of Invent America. Why? Because America invents. We have been solving the problems of the consumer for centuries now. Centuries. Awesome. And you know what? We're going to continue to do so. This segment is brought to you by Aztec Washer. It is a revolutionary and innovative producer of roofing products since 1968. Anybody that's been around that long, they know what they're doing. Seal it right, seal it tight, aztecwasher.com. And we are talking today about what when we go to a trade show, it's not just to sell product, it's to learn, it's to make our products better. And so my guests today are talking about what they learn to make their product better. And Barb Wangler is my first inventor guest today. And she had this really cool product. It's called the Rookie Seat. And it really, she's a mother, she's a grandmother. And it's not just about making life easier for anyone who's got a toddler. It's about making it safer as well. Because that's the one thing I saw, Barb, with your product is that it's not just easier, it's more secure for, you got a 2-year-old climbing around. The last thing you want is that chair to fall off of a stadium seat. So tell everybody, thanks so much for being with us, first of all, and tell everybody, what is the Rookie Seat?
Hello, Rita. Thank you so much for having me today. Yes, parenting is an incredible journey, but sometimes traveling with little ones can be a challenge. So I invented the Rookie Seat. It is made for kids 3 months of age to 3 years of age. It is 3 things. It's a camping chair, it's a bleacher seat, and it's a booster seat. And it comes with a base. There's 2 pieces to it, the chair itself and then the base. If you use the chair independently, it's a camping chair that you can use on the grass or the dirt. If you attach the base to it, there are 4 hooks, 1 in each corner. If you have the hooks going front to back, you can hook it onto a bleacher seat. If you rotate the base 1 degree, it becomes a booster seat for kitchen chairs or restaurant chairs. And the seat itself also has a 5-point harness so that your child's not going to fall off wherever you decide to put them.
So that's excellent. Now, I remember that not too long before the show, you were worried about whether or not you would even get your one and only prototype. Right. It's like, oh my God. It's like, he kept promising, but, was it going to arrive? You never know for sure. So, it did arrive. And so you had, the great seat and then a, wonderful Mickey Mouse that we all recognized and loved out there to be your toddler demos. Guest, but what did you learn at the show?
What I learned a lot from the show. My whole purpose of going there was to get feedback from moms and dads who have little ones. What did they like about it? What didn't they like about it? What can I improve on it? What should I take away? And I'm surprised how many people actually took the time and dissected every square inch of my product. And I got positive feedbacks. I'm onto something. I'm going in the right direction. They said they would use it. I had some moms who wanted to take some home with them, who wanted to buy some that day, but I didn't have any to sell. It's just a prototype. I got it that Wednesday before, and for the show, and I was there to show it. I got lots of positive feedback. Yes.
So when you get the feedback, all right, like I've said multiple times, you get feedback about pricing, packaging, can it do other things? Is it doing it, the best way? Did people make suggestions? So what were some of the suggestions that you got?
The major thing that I received was, so my whole idea here was to make this for children, 3 months to 3 years of age. I had a mom who came to me who wants an adult-sized version of this because she has a
Oh,
grown child with autism, and she says
huh.
that this would be beneficial for her. So that was the biggest thing, my biggest takeaway I got from this. Yes.
Wow. Well, and a good patent is not size specific or
Right.
industry specific. So,
Yes.
being able to have it manufactured in, various sizes is, pretty straightforward.
hmm
So what's your plan? What's your long-term plan?
My long-term plan, so going forward, everybody that I spoke with gave me the nudge to maybe manufacture this myself and try and sell a few items myself. I'm also looking for a licensing deal, so if there's anybody interested in that, I am open to that as well.
Excellent. So when you look at, most inventors want to be able to do social media for advertising as opposed to a TV commercial. It was not that all that long ago that, you and I were growing up with the idea that, everything that you saw was either in a magazine, on TV,
Right.
or, in a newspaper ad for
Yeah.
something local. But life has changed a lot
hmm
in the last couple of decades. And so now it's all about social media.
Yeah, social media and all these different platforms and what each platform is known for, whether it's 10 seconds, whether it's a 2-minute commercial, just every platform is a little different. And yeah, that's something I'm going to have to figure out how to work each one of these.
So when you look at right now where you are, you're getting ready to do a couple more prototypes.
I'm probably going to make another prototype that's a little bit more sturdier than the one I have, but I'm on to a good start. Yes.
Excellent, excellent. So you're going to do another show?
Possibly, yes. Quite possibly, yes. It was awesome. I learned a lot, and yes, I would recommend it to anybody.
So when you had been thinking about going to the show for some time, so what was your window then? It's like, because I remember, when you were first getting started, and it's like, okay, so what was your window from, I think I want to do this, to, okay, let's really do it?
Yes, I found a person who was able to make me the prototype, and I made him aware that if he was able to get me a prototype, in enough time to do this trade show, I was going to do it. So he promised me and told me that, he would be able to get it for me. So I received it to that Wednesday before the trade show, and then, I flew in the next day to Las Vegas for the show and made it happen.
You were not the first one that's like, you're just kind of waiting for that, prototype to arrive, because I've had other ones where they, arrive kind of sticky still because they were warm off the prototype machine. So it's always, interesting to watch folks from, it's like 6 months is kind of a tight window to go from let's file a patent and get a prototype done, to actually, presenting at a show.
Yes, yep. And I got my PPA also all set up, and yeah, got a hotel room. I got my flight. It all happened within a week. So
Yep, that was great. That was great. Well, we wish you the best of luck. We are hoping that we can help you get the rookie seat ready for licensing, and get everything done so that, the next time you are, out there at a stadium someplace, you are able to see it yourself, because it really feels really good when you see your product out there. And thanks so much for being with
thank
us,
you.
and we will be paying attention and see how you do. So stick
Thank
with
you,
us,
Rita.
everybody. We will be back in just a few minutes with our next inventor, and he has got a children's product as well. So hang in there with us. Hello, America, and thanks so much for being with us for this segment of Invent America, because America invents. If you know any inventors out there who would like to be on the radio, have them get in touch. It's free, and we get to share their products online, and we love to help the consumers out there find out what's new, what's novel, what solves a problem that they have at home and didn't even know there was a solution for it. So get in touch. We love to have the questions. And if you need a service provider, again, just reach out and ask, because we know lots of really good service providers. This segment is brought to you by Liberty Tabletop by Cheryl Manufacturing. Liberty Tabletop is America's only flatware made in the USA. So for all of your flatware, dinnerware, cookware, and glassware, think Liberty Tabletop at libertytabletop.com. And we are grateful to have Rick Bunger with us today. And Rick is the inventor of Ivy's counting blocks. And these are awesome. You know, I know that they are for kids, Rick, but I think that there's probably a lot of adult men who could use the relationship in numbers and sizes. I know one very well, and don't tell him I said that. So anyway, Rick, tell everybody, why is Ivy's counting block so awesome?
Well, Ivy's counting blocks, it was triggered by my granddaughter, Ivy. She was in a 3-year-old preschool, and her teacher sent home to her parents that she was struggling with their numbers. And I'm a retired optometrist. It's the vision and learning they're intimately connected. And so I'm also a woodworker. I thought about the issue for a few days, and this idea popped in my mind. This is a new take on an old thing. Counting blocks have been around for generations. The way I cut blocks, kids not only learn their numbers, they learn their colors, and they also learn that as numbers increase, volumes increase. And that's very good in the tactile reinforcement of learning volumes and sizes and numbers. And the unique thing about my blocks is you can do simple math with them too. For example, you can stack 2 blocks together, take a 3 and a 7 and stack them together, and they'll be the same height as the 10 block. You can also take multiples like a 3, 2, and a 5. Those will also equal the 10 block. And so it's designed, they're very bright colors, and the kids are naturally attracted to them. And if an adult will play with them, they can learn their numbers, colors, and simple math. Get the basics right, and things go well after that.
It was amazing. I enjoyed watching everybody watch them size up. It's like, the 1 + 5 is 6, and 3 + 3 is 6, and 2 + 4 is 6, and they are all stacked at the same height as 6.
Yeah.
It was very cool. And it was like, duh. All right. We should have had that back when my kids were growing up. So what did you learn at the show?
I learned several things. I learned that you can source products at the show. One guy that stopped at my station gave me some ideas on pricing. I needed to lower the price. And so to lower the price, you got to be able to acquire them cheaper. And he suggested I go around and look for areas that had wood products and see if they manufactured. And I did that, and I found some really nice ladies from China, and they were able to quote me a price that was 1/6 the price of what I paid for the original order. So that is very important, because toys are very competitive, and you've got to be in the right price range. And I learned that I needed to buy them less expensive so I can sell them less expensive.
Yeah, I mean, and that is so critical. And I think that's one of the most valuable things that folks learn at a professional trade show, is that, buyers know their consumers. They know their clientele. And it's like, this is the sweet spot. This is where we're going to be looking at, pricing these for retail. And they know, just like, all the inventors learn eventually, it might be a really hard lesson, but consumer is God when it comes to pricing, because if you can't get them to split with their dollars, it doesn't matter how wonderful it is. Well, unless you're Apple and you charge everybody more for an apple that you play with instead of an apple that you eat. But, they had a lot of money to teach you that an apple is something that you play with instead of an apple is something that you eat. And so, the inventors who are going with us are focused on finding out, what do those buyers think the sweet spot is going to be?
I was also looking for reinforcement that this is a legitimate idea. And I got that with spades, that all ages were attracted to these blocks. I had pharmacists stacking numbers together, and how many times could you get 20 out of my set? And just amazing things like that. And so I think there's a niche there that people see the value in, and now I need to get the product out there so that people are even aware it exists.
So where does it exist, Rick?
Well, I have several of them existing in my garage right now that I would like to mail to people.
All right. How do people get in touch with you, Rick?
You can simply Google IDs counting blocks, and that will take you to my website. And you can place orders there. It'll come directly to me, and I'll slap a label on it. It'll be out to you very shortly.
Well, that's what's so cool about this, is that, you were able to sell some at the show, and you've still got inventory, and you learned a lot about, pricing and next steps. But, just as important is it for anybody out there who's got a youngster learning how to count, they're learning spatial relationships. If it equals 10, it's going to be the same size as the 10 block, which I think is really amazing. That the visual, like you said, the visual part of that learning is so incredible. So if you've got, somebody out there who's really kind of struggling or needs the textile part of that learning, Ivy's Counting Blocks is the way to do it. And I am sure that Rick would be very happy for you to go to his website, ivyscountingblocks.com, correct?
It's there. The name is actually thriving-ivy.com. If you Google Ivy's Counting Blocks, it will take you to the website also.
Excellent. And if you have trouble with that, everybody, just send me an email, Rita@inventorlady.com, and I am happy to give you Rick's contact information. So, Rick, where do you go from here? What's next for you as far as, yes, looking at, different, types of manufacturing, but where is it that you want to get to besides
Actually,
the next show?
I would like to license my product. I have learned that I'm of a generation that I do not like to spend a lot of time marketing the product on the internet. There are people that can do that much better than I. And so I would like to license the product and let them do what they do, and they can use my idea and profit from it.
Well, it's funny because before the show, we did a video that was called Mount Marketing, because the biggest challenge for most inventors is the marketing. And if it can be overwhelming and it can be outrageously expensive. And you can find yourself throwing a lot of money, right down a black hole when it comes to marketing, because it's hard to, it's hard to do it right and be able to get the word out there. So we are going to give you a hand on that, because I just thought that this product was wonderful for those youngsters that are trying to learn all their numbers and everything. So we are happy to give you a hand at the licensing and going out there to some of our resources in the kids learning area. So you know what? Thank you so much for being on with us today. And if you are an inventor out there, of someone who needs some help, have them get in touch. And if you hear about products that you think, whoa, those are really cool, you know what? Guess where they are listed? They're listed on inventamerica.radio.com. All of the products that went with us to ASD Market Week are still listed there. So you know what? I know how you can find Ivy's Counting Blocks. Just go to the website. Thanks, everybody, and stick with us, because we're going to be back with our industry expert in just a few moments. Hello, America. Thank you so much for being with us. And this segment is brought to you by Trimislab. If you need to replace rotting or missing wood that you often have a spot in your driveway, sidewalks, decks, it doesn't matter. If you are missing a piece of wood, Trimislab is going to be your best option. It installs incredibly fast, it looks great, and it can be removed if necessary. Trimislab.com. And my next guest is a very important part of ASD Market Week and getting our inventors to a show and teed up and ready and making changes when they get back and say, oh, let's do it this way. Noah McNeely is CEO and founder of Product QuickStart, and he helps inventors from that early stage of I've got a duct tape and cardboard prototype. Noah, can you help me out? Thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, my pleasure as usual. Always fun.
And so all right, so let's start from kind of the beginning on this. Is like when an inventor calls you, or when I say, you know what, call Noah, what is it that you need from them first to tee up something besides time? All right, so when somebody says I'm going to a show in 6 weeks and you go, ain't gonna be me that gets you there, I need what, 4 months?
So unless they're talking about going to see a play or something, I usually can't help them in too short of a time when they say I need to go see a show or go to a show. The main thing is understanding what they're trying to do. You know, a lot of times inventors, the best thing they've done is identified a problem to solve. And in many cases, they've got an ideal solution already worked out, you know, with the duct tape or even 3D printing. It just depends on how sophisticated they are. But a lot of times they've got a solution, but not a great solution to the problem. So sometimes we have to start there and really help them think through, okay, well, why don't we, if we change this and change this and change this, well, we could actually manufacture a product that does what you want it to do. So the main thing is just understanding what is the problem they're solving.
That certainly makes sense. What about, all right, so you understand, you get them a prototype teed up and ready to go to the show. And then they come back and say, okay, we learned these things. Can you take it from, you know, verbal changes, or do you need, you know, proof of concept mock-up, more duct tape and cardboard? I've seen some good ones out of Legos too, but you know, what is it that you need to get that thought out of their head?
Well, it depends on how complicated the change is. You know, if it's something simple like, you know, I talked to this guy that wants to put my product in his stores, but it's the wrong color. Okay, well, we can change the color. That's no big deal. Sometimes it's, hey, I just need a different kind of retail box or whatever. You know, those are all pretty simple changes we can handle with email and back and forth. Now, your previous guest talked about finding out that his price was too high at the show, and he was able to fortunately find a source that just gave him a lower price. Now, that was an easy solution to that. Sometimes, however, it's a much more complex problem to lower that price. We may already be at a low price point for what they're producing, in which case we have to go a little bit more than just talking about it on the phone. We have to actually go through some redesign, what I call reductive innovation, of creative thinking of how we can create this product that, you know, maybe the manufacturer cost was $8, but we need to get it down to $6. What are some things we can do to get there? What can we give up in order to get to that point? So, so some of the changes that come out of shows are really easy. Some are really complicated.
Yeah, I know that we had, you know, one of the big things is numbers. So when they look at price points on, you know, an order of 500 versus the price point on 5,000, then all of a sudden that price point can drop down into the sweet spot.
Sure. Yeah, and it sort of depends on, again, what it is, but I generally counsel people to look at their business plan not based on the first order. If you can break even on the first order, that's fantastic. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you just have to invest in that. You look at your business plan based on what's your long-term, your ordering numbers. You know, if you're going to get up to, if your business plan says I'm going to order 5,000 of these a year, let's get it quoted at that. Even though first time out, you may only order 500. You know, we can deal with that, but we need to build a business plan around what you want the business to be, not necessarily day one numbers.
Right. And for, you know, a lot of our inventors, both Barb and Rick, want to go and license. So it is not unusual that they do a short run. And I always tell them, it's like, you know, look at what then the licensee may be ordering as far as numbers. So if they're ordering them in 5 or 10,000 runs, get that pricing.
Right.
And
You will
then-
scare the licensee away if you give them the manufactured cost for 100 units.
There you go.
That's not how they're going to do their business.
And normally they know when they're looking at something, they say based on the other things they're manufacturing, they are going to be able to go ahead and get it down to where it needs to be. So they've already got it calculating in their head. But what you don't want to do is have no sales because your sales were marked too high. And then you say, well, I couldn't sell any because my price was too high, and not realize the difference in the number calculations that you need to be shooting for. Like you said, it's not unusual that if they can break even on that first order, that's good.
So yeah, sometimes it's just that first order is an investment. You spend more money than you make on that, but that's to get your business launched.
Yes, absolutely. And then to prove yourself for inventors who can go out and get a short run done, 500, 1,500, whatever it is, that is wonderful, because then for licensing, it allows us to negotiate a better deal. So when we're looking at you help them go from the prototype then to the tee up for manufacturing and being able to get a short run done, but go into then, if they want to, that consistent manufacturing of the 5 to 10,000.
Yeah, and all the way through to manufacturing. I've been doing this a long time with inventor entrepreneurs, and it doesn't do them a lot of good for me to get them almost all the way to the finish line. So, we do that in all sorts of ways, all the way from pure concierge service. They're like, I don't even want to talk to the factory. Can you just handle it for me? Well, sure, we can do that. Get you as many delivered to you as you want. On the other end, sometimes it's what I call a chaperoned introduction, where we're just, saying, hey, this is someone you can work with, and you take it from here. Just depends on what they're after.
Right. So Noah, thanks so much for being with us. You are always brilliant to have on, and so that you can help us let everyone know, one, you're there, and two, what those steps are. So
thanks everyone for joining us today. We will be back next week with more stories on getting products from mind to market. We will have new inventors and industry experts. So join us and have a wonderful week.